Some fragments of silicon just aren't like other ones.
All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Daylight Interviews. A couple of quick notes before we get started. First of all, this is only going to be a half an hour, since that is the time limit imposed by our guest. And also, we are still doing the Alpha Particle giveaway in our Discord. I'm sure Petty Fan will provide a link to said Discord while the proceedings are ongoing.
Indeed.
But anyway, joining us this week is Dune of a is it Selector or Sector?
Selector.
Selector. Okay, good. Funselektor Labs. How are you doing today?
Good. Yeah, we're just recovering from the whole console launch last week, so just everything's slowly coming back to normal, it feels like.
Right. I think you mentioned that over Twitter last week. But anyway, so to start off, we'd like to ask this particular question of all of our guests. What got you interested in video games, both in a professional capacity and a personal one?
Let me see. I guess personally, I think it was just mom bought a Super Nintendo for us when I was a kid, and just started playing like Zelda and NHL '95. Those are the two games I had, so I just played the heck out of them.
You work with what you get? I mean,
yeah, and then mostly we'd just be going to friends' houses to play video games when I was young, because we didn't have that many. But we slowly got like maybe 10 games total throughout the Super Nintendo lifetime.
Yeah, I remember those days. Like, granted, I think we ended up with like 20 some odd games at the end there. But yeah, like games were super expensive back in the day. Like, you know, they carried like today's prices, but you know, keep in mind it's for a platformer or what have you.
It's because cartridges are more expensive to manufacture.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah. Anyway, so continuing onward, how did that metamorphose into, you know, making video games for a living?
So that was just in school. So, taking a basically like general programming software development course at a technical school, and then doing a 2-year degree after for video game programming. And then, after, like near the end of the school terms, just started making the precursor to my first game, Absolute Drift. And then so basically like indie from the start, just like made a demo as soon as I graduated, and then it seemed to get a little bit of interest. So then just like basically asked my parents if I could not get a job and just try to finish this game, and they were cool with it. So yeah, and the rest is history, I guess.
I mean, that is certainly one path to take. It's like, especially in today's world, we've actually had a lot of people who, worked in other fields and ended up in video games. A fair amount of people do go for like video game programming at some point. Anyway, so if I'm remembering correctly, like your first game out of the gate was a title called Absolute Drift. And for those who might not be familiar, it's a very, what it says on the tin kind of title. It's all about the driving technique of drifting. And I suppose the question that comes to mind is, was there anything in particular that possessed you to make, a drifting game?
Let me see. I just grew up playing a ton of racing games, and rally games, and then there's a. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Gymkhana series by Ken Block. Pretty popular, just like him just tuning his rally cars all around different locations. So there's one that inspired me a lot. It was kind of like video game themed, and yeah, basically that just made me want to really make a drifting game, I guess. Make a racing game about sliding cars around.
I'm like, that's a fair transposition, I think. Like, gotta admit, I'm not familiar with the games you cited there. Like, I know I haven't ever played them, but I don't think my cohorts here have either.
I don't think I have.
Like, and I suppose it should be noted, like, rally games, I won't say they're not unpopular here, but I'm like, definitely more of a European kind of genre, I found. Like, I mean, like, there were things like Sega Rally, sure, but then like Colin McRae Rally and Lotus Challenge, you know, all those are like from Europe, and you know, things like the Amiga. You know. So it's kind of stunning to find somebody over here who really got into rally racing. It's not a criticism or anything, just an observation. But anyway, so how long did it take to make Absolute Drift?
That was about a year and a half. Yeah. But actually, yeah, to your rally point, like not that many people in North America. I guess maybe Canada and America. Not too many people know about rally. Like usually when I'm saying what type of game it is, I have to explain it. But you showed the game in Europe in London a couple years ago, and yeah, everyone knew what rally was. So it was it was a bit nice not to have to explain all the time. So it's pretty popular over in Europe for sure.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, like, you know, that's where actual rally races are held, you know, professionally. I honestly don't know if there's any sort of rally association here in North America. Like,
yeah, there is, but it's pretty like Rally America, and there's some amateur rally, but yeah, it's pretty way more low key. Like not even as close to say the popularity of NASCAR, let's say.
All right. And anyway, I suppose we should get to Art of Rally, which is an interesting rally game in that it's very colorful. I'm like, that's another thing about rally racing. It's very muddy usually, because you know, once again, to get into one of the finer points about rally racing, it's really not done on paved roads a lot. It like actual rally racing's done in a lot of back roads that are muddy and so on and so forth. So it's a very gritty kind of racing a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's overland racing instead of track racing.
Uh-huh. And you know, it's also why a spotter is kind of really important, because you're going through a lot of winding paths and blind corners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the whole hard left, middle right commentary. Anyway, so my question here is: was there any particular rationale between making I guess for lack of a better term, a clean rally game?
Yeah, just basically making Absolute Drift and seeing like what people would think a rally game could be, like as the successor to that. So yeah, kind of like a crisp, minimalistic, top-down racing game was the whole plan. It's changed a lot. Like the whole look and everything has changed a ton over the years. It's been a bit of a challenge, but yeah.
That's certainly understandable. How long did it take for you to create I suppose the initial body of Art of Rally? We'll get into it in a bit, but like, it just got a free update, for example. But you know, like the initial tracks, you know, and all that. How long did that take to create?
I don't know. They've been like some of them existed for like years before the game launched. I just like fixing them up and stuff. Probably at least 4 years before launch when they started having the production ones. Maybe like 3 years before launch or so. I'm kind of losing track. I don't really know exactly because it's been so long.
And that's a fair enough answer. I mean, especially when you've spent a fair amount of time with a game. It's like, and the actual creation process of this game has been interesting reading up on it because apparently you did a lot of traveling while you were making the Art of Rally. Can you give some insight into that?
Yeah, it's just basically built up a cargo van into a camper over the winter of 2016.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, just did that with like just to be self-sufficient and off grid, so like solar panels, batteries, bed, fridge, and just like a house power, like 120 volts, so you can plug in a laptop and monitor and stuff. Just so I could kind of just roam around and then work on the game in it as well.
Gotta admit, that's a first for us. I don't think we've ever had anyone who got into a camper and roamed around really anywhere. And I guess my next question is, how did that impact actual game development, if it did?
Oh, let me see. It was, I guess, yeah, it was definitely unconventional. It would be a lot of like big trips, and then coming back to like a house or apartment, staying with like family or friends, or like on the road, just like meeting people and just staying at their houses sometimes. But yeah, I guess a bit more organic and not like super structured. But it was kind of nice because I didn't really get burned out too much. Like you'd always just like outside is literally just the doorway, so you just like jump out and go do activities. Yeah, but internet was a big issue, I guess. Like I didn't have a good data plan or know about hotspotting until probably 2019. It's pretty sad. But yeah, so basically just a lot of offline work. I'd be working with collaborators, be helping out, but wouldn't have to be like every single day. I'd just kind of like come online and then download new assets and stuff from them, and then just go back out.
Okay. I suppose that did you like actually drive to any of your collaborators' places and do some in-person work there?
I'm trying to think. Not really. Everyone's a bit all over the world, but we did go to Spain. Like we didn't take the van, but went to Spain to see some of the artists and hang out with them in Madrid. So at the time, yeah, I was just working. They were working on other projects, but we were able to like hang out and work together for a bit.
Okay, that's always nice. Though I got to imagine that the whole traveling the country or countries thing has been, I suppose for lack of a better term, kiboshed, given the whole global pandemic.
Mm. Oh, you mean recently?
Yes. If that, I don't know if that ended before the COVID hit in 2020 or not.
Yeah, like basically to ship the game, I've just kind of had to stop the whole ban thing. Went out a little bit, but for the most part, I had to just be on the internet working like every single day. So, yeah, it was kind of good timing with the pandemic that we had to stay inside. I didn't feel too much FOMO about not being able to run around.
Understandable, given everyone got basically shut in for a year. And anyway, in regards to the game itself, are any of the locations or cars? Because I know this game is apparently based off of the golden age of Rally. Is any of this based off of actual real world cars, real world tracks, or is it just an inspiration?
Let me see. I guess the tracks are kind of inspired a bit. Yeah, like Germany is inspired by the real thing. Yeah, like they're trying to like take some big themes of them. Like Finland has lots of big jumps, and the super high speed, so stuff like that. But it's not like it's just made up tracks, though.
That's what I was expecting. Because once again, these don't really look like rally tracks in a lot of places. Though, I guess that beckons another question from me. What exactly is
interjecting? That's a very nice graphical effect for when you're behind a tree, just a little wiggly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Anyway, as I was saying, what is the golden age of rally exactly?
So basically, a time when before, I guess, the modern times. Right now, I guess there's so much technology and like safety, which isn't a bad thing. But like back then, it was a lot of just learning, like kind of like the salad days of a new type of motorsport. They were just trying to figure it out, like starting from like maybe the 50s, 60s into the 90s. So just like it was just a very it was very dynamic. Like there were a lot of changes being made throughout the cars. Then most famous is the Group B, which was just like basically unlimited performance. So people can make the engines as fast as they wanted to. They were very dangerous and they're huge crashes, but it was the craziest. And people refer to it as the golden age of rally because it was. Like people always think of it in a kind of, I don't know what the word is. Just like a nice lens of what rally was. It was extreme, and people like literally put their lives on the line. Unfortunately, it was very dangerous too. But when you just watch it, it's just insane. It gives you a different type of feeling, let's say.
Yeah. Like I said, not very well versed in rally racing, but what I know, it takes a certain type of person to do it. Anyway, so I think one of the most striking things about Art of Rally here is its particular, graphical styling. What was, if any, rationale behind making the Art of Rally look like this? What was it?
It's kind of like what the art style of the first game, Absolute Drift, which is like a super clean, minimalistic, and a lot of white. What that would look in a rally game. It changed a lot. Like it looked a lot different when I started. But yeah, then I was influenced by games like, especially The Witness. Kind of a simple. It's like a minimalistic take on nature. Yeah, that really inspired it for sure.
Gotta admit, that wasn't a game I was expecting to be cited here.
Yeah, it's a puzzle game.
I mean, I get it in context, but yeah, it's like puzzle game, racing game. Although, is there actually any sort of competitive head-to-head racing in Art of Rally, or is it all just driving through roads?
Yeah, there's no head-to-head racing. There are leaderboards, though.
Okay. Yeah. That is what I was expecting. And what's been the reception of Art of Rally since it came out?
On PC or on consoles?
I suppose we can start with PCs, and then we can move to consoles.
Yeah, PC was good. Like we got pretty lucky with the whole launch. Pretty good reviews. Yeah, kind of similar to the first game. Like it's a hard game that it's not for everyone. But if you can have the patience and get the time to really put into it and master the controls and get the skills up, then then people can like it when they see that, I guess. Consoles, yeah, we worked on the game for like since September, so adding new features and things to it. So it's kind of like an upgraded version of the original PC launch. We did have some bugs on like Xbox when we launched and stuff, so that kind of hurt it. And it takes a while to patch them. So luckily, our patch went out I think 2 days ago, so that's kind of fixed most of the issues. Yeah, otherwise, I think people have been kind of like similar reception, but yeah, the Switch build is a bit slower too, so we're working to address those issues too.
And so it goes with the launches.
Yeah.
Now, is this game being targeted at all for PlayStation?
Yeah, it's announced. It's coming to PlayStation. We don't have a release date yet. So.
Okay, so it's just a matter of prioritization.
Or just like how the porting process went for us. We had the Game Pass and Switch support, so we just target those first.
How's Game Pass been working out for the game?
Yeah, good. Like it's been a ton of players. I guess a lot that might not have played it or tried it otherwise. There's a lot of people who are surprised just at the type of game it is. Maybe for any Game Pass game, like you can just try it. Like a lot of things that you won't normally try.
I've heard this before about Game Pass, and yeah, that does make sense since it's basically a rental service for the new digital era.
Yeah.
And I know people have had worries about Game Pass and the whole cloud gaming. This is going to be the death of ownership and all that stuff. And I'm not saying those fears are not without merit, but I'm like going by what's actually been going on. It's been helpful to a lot of games, especially a lot of games that might not have gotten a spotlight otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Now, like in terms of development support and patching, is there anything special or extra you have to do with a Game Pass version of the game?
I guess just try to support a lot of platforms, like we're on Windows 10 and xCloud as well. But other than that, it's just an Xbox game for the most part. It's still an Xbox game for the most part.
Right. That is another thing about Game Pass is there are Xbox games and there are PC games. And there are also like the universal apps, as I understand it. But that doesn't sound to be a factor in this particular title. Anyway, and indeed, launching alongside the console versions is a new series of tracks based in Kenya. Can you tell us a little about, was there anything special about or different about taking the rally racing to a, I guess technically it's sub-Saharan, but it's maybe a desert environment. Does the handling or anything change when you're dealing with sand?
Well, we don't get like that deep into it. So basically just a lot of we just look at the roads as being gravel. And yeah, otherwise just regular rallies. We just cut roads through I guess sub-Saharan desert is the biome for it. Yeah, just in the Kenyan plains, just high speeds, lots of animals, some jumps and stuff.
Okay. I suppose to go along with that, did you ever have the opportunity to visit Africa in your travels?
Actually, when I was a kid, we went. So, a really long time ago. Yeah, it was awesome. Just went on a couple safaris. Saw tons of animals, lots of trees. Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay. And can you give us any sort of details on if there's going to be any more additions to Art of Rally, like maybe a new series of tracks for the PlayStation launch?
No, nothing short term, but we are officially working on some new locations, but we haven't announced which ones yet.
Yeah, fair enough. And I suppose my final question at this stage is, have you given any consideration to porting Art of Rally to mobile devices?
Not really. Like, unless there's a special deal or something. Like, it's just a game like a premium game doesn't really do. It does pretty terrible on mobile. We launched the first game on Drift there, and yeah, sales weren't close to the PC or console launches. Like, to even
Yeah. Right. So I'll see if my colleagues here have any further questions for you.
I think
Sure.
I'm personally good.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Well, Dune, it was wonderful having you on the broadcast. Art of Rally is a game that's been on my radar for a while, and I am pleased that we were able to feature it here today. And yeah, the game is Art of Rally, and you've also got Absolute Drift. Let's see, Absolute Drift, I believe, is going. It's $12.
yeah.
And Art of Rally is $20, although you can also pick it up on Game Pass. Though it is on discount right now on like Steam, because I'm assuming due to the console launch. But it is available on PC. Like, I think all of the major storefronts.
Yeah.
And it's on the Nintendo Switch and the Xbox One. And it's coming sometime in the future for the PlayStation. Is that the PlayStation 4 or is that the PlayStation 4 and 5?
Yeah, both of those, yeah.
Okay. Right. So be sure to pick it up, pick both games up on your platform of choice today. Right. So that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Be sure to tune in for the Sunday reviews. And until then, I shall wish you good gaming.